Hello everyone, welcome to the webinar of Hemerion with Capital Cells. We are delighted to welcome you and to present you the projects Hemerion. This is an opportunity also for Capital Cell to present some opportunities as Hemerion, a great opportunity of investment. As you well understand, Capital Cell is a platform of investments that you can, of course, have a lot of opportunity as Hemerion today. We propose also to present you during this meeting, of course, Hemerion. We will have a sessions of Q&A on this project. The rule of thumb concerning this webinar are very simple. If you want to ask questions, you can put your question on the chat, and we can follow all the questions and give you the voice at the end. Or if you want on Zoom, you have an application with the hands. You can raise the hands, and of course, with Sergi and me, we will give you the voice in order to ask the question to the Hemerion team. We will have together more or less 1 hour of webinar. So I propose to give the voice to Maximilien, the CEO of Hemerion, in order to present you the projects. And also, we will give the voice to Alan at the end for the presentation of the interest of the investment on Hemerion. So thank you again for your time, for the presentation and your participations. I give the voice to Maximilien in order to present, of course, the project Hemerion.
Thank you. So happy to meet you all. I'm Maximilien Vermandel, the CEO and co-founder of Hemerion Therapeutics. I'm happy to be here with some of my colleagues to introduce our project and to show you our technology and the opportunity of investment. So I'm here today with Michel Andreau, our CFO and co-founder of Hemerion Therapeutics. I'm also here with Dr. Marie-Edith Bonter, who is a medical oncologist by training and CMO, Chief Medical Officer at Hemerion Therapeutics. And my pleasure to be with my friend Alan, that is a well-experienced guy in the investment field in life science and in many fields in that landscape. And he will explain how far we have a good project and how far he's interested. So at Hemerion, we are developing some new approach to treat cancer with a specific approach. Our first indication is glioblastoma, that is the most common and the most aggressive brain cancer. The recurrence is a universal occurrence, and it happens in less than 7 months. And the deaths are generally observed in less than 16 months, 15, 16 months, with today's standard of care. Unfortunately, the current solutions are not working. There is no innovative solution that gives some real benefit to the patient. We have some cumbersome devices for the treatment. We have some immunotherapy trials, but none are effective for the management of this patient. So this disease is considered as rare, but not so rare, definitely. Excuse me. And what we can see is that despite the market opportunities and the dismal prognosis of this disease, there are only three medical approach technologies that are approved for the treatment of newly diagnosed glioblastoma. The 3 of them comes with severe side effects, low efficacy, and very heavy burden in the quality of life of patient. I'm thinking of the NovoCure devices, for instance, that is some electrical field arrays that have to be worn by the patient 18 hours a day. So that's why Hemerion improve interventional oncology by combining a drug and a device to specifically kills tumor cells only. So actually, we combine a photosensitizing drug that is given to the patient This molecule bonds only to tumor cells and is photosensitized. That is photosensitized, and then we use a photonic device to activate this photosensitizer as that ultimately kills the tumor cells. So this is just a 3 times operation. That first administration to the patient, that is our photosensitizing molecule pentalaphen. During an operation, during a surgery, we use a specific device we developed that is named Alliance. Alliance activates the photosensitizer, and because of photochemical reaction, it leads to those tumor cells only. In such a manner, wherever the light penetrates in the tissue, it kills only tumor cells. And so for glioblastoma, for instance, we have observed a median progression-free survival of 17 months. So I recall to be compared with the standard of care today, that is only 7 months only. So this technology has been developed to be completely patient-friendly. There is no change of the surgical experience for the patients, and the patient is relapsed normally after the surgery, and there is no need for bulky device like Optune, for instance. And most importantly for attraction for the physician, it is seamlessly integrated in the surgical workflow, and the whole treatment only lasts 30 minutes during the surgery procedure, during any standard brain surgery procedure. And that's the key, because we have to be convincing both the patient, but also the neurosurgeon that are taking care of the patient. So this approach is involved at a very early stage in the patient continuum of care. Indeed, as I said at the beginning, even if the surgery is optimal, the recurrence is universal, because at the end of the surgery, even if it's complete, there are always some remaining tumor cells that are the spot for the recurrence that are not addressed by the other technology. And so we are in the capacity to develop this therapy during the surgery. It means 5 to 6 weeks before the adjuvant treatment. So we can take care of our patient very early in the management, but and also, in only 30 minutes in a standard surgery procedure. This work is a result of years of academic research within a French institute and within the university hospital. Obviously, we have a complete, robust intellectual property portfolio, a first patent family on the design, on the concept, and a second recent patent family that we have opened on some extension. Today, we have also a freedom to operate extensively achieved, and that confirms that we can use our technology worldwide in the US and in Europe, free of operating. And so we are still monitoring this freedom to operate, obviously. With this IP, and that's an important thing to have in mind, that we have already clinical data collected. That means that half of the project is already de-risked. The clinical trial we have achieved have shown that we have no toxicity, and we have very encouraging efficacy signals. And that's now the part we want to found, meaning that we want to definitely demonstrate the efficacy of our technology. So some successful milestone I wanted to share with you since the beginning of this journey. So we started our first clinical trials in 2017 with the phase 1 Indigo that was achieved in Lille, in France. At that time, we were able to start a real, let's say, regulatory strategy, since we have been granted the orphan drug designation in Europe. So orphan drug designation is a specific fast track for regulation that leads to a market exclusivity for 10 years. So it's a real interesting barrier to entry for any competitors. So this was already strategized, during this first part of our investigation. Then in 2020, we incorporated Hemerion in France, and we were granted with several grants in France by BPI France with some investment and also grant. Later, we were able to join the University Hospital and to help them to set up the phase 2 clinical trial in France. That was a phase 2 for light dose escalation. And again, we demonstrate the complete absence of toxicity of our approach, and we were able to engage our regulatory roadmap in the US by being orphan drug designation in the US. And recently, we achieved our IND process in the US by being IND granted by the FDA, and simultaneously we were selected as one of the top additive tech startup in France with major grants obtained. And recently we started our phase 1/2 in the US with the brand new product designed by Hemerion. And with that, we recently treated our first patient in the US, showing no adverse event as well. Our pipeline today is focused on glioblastoma. And so that's our first indication, as I said at the beginning, with the roadmap that is scheduled with our phase 2 pivotal clinical trial in 2024. So it means that we will prepare our pivotal trial in 2024 and launch the pivotal clinical trial for market access in 2025. So it means that our first patient for the market access clinical trial will be enrolled at mid-2025. Thanks to this clinical trial, we are already engaged in discussion with the health authorities in Europe. We should be able to deliver a market approval in 2028. And simultaneously, we will accelerate in the US. And that's why we have Alan with us today to strategize that part. And so we also focused on, let's say, an accelerated approval in the US. We have also some other indication in mind that we are keen to develop in the near future, other organs to be considered for photodynamic therapy. So maybe we can have some words from Marie-Edith at the end of this talk, but also some work in preclinical we have started last year that seems to give very interesting result and could be the future of oncology in less than 10 years. That's a good news. We are not the only one to think that we need a drug and a device to treat cancer, as we can see in the competitive landscape. We have some different physical approach that use sonodynamic therapy, that use photodynamic therapies or IFU. But we are now the only companies that is able to handle a drug and a device. Indeed, we have our own our own drug that is manufactured under our responsibility, and we have also the complete oversight on the device. We have also the most advanced clinical development to be compared with the competitive landscape, and we are also in line for both the US and the Europe market. Last year, we had the opportunity to discuss with some payers in Europe and in the US, and it came to us that the selling price of our technology at the end should be reimbursed from 30,000 euro for the drug and the device combined in the Europe, but from up to $50,000 in the US if our results are confirmed. So it means that this journey with this company will be break-even at 2030. So in the presentation of the company, we claim a per 15 return of interest, and that's based on this forecast for our commercial opportunities. That means that we are on something realistic in 2029 for an exit. and it's even conservative. And when we have in mind that the market is only disseminated in only major centers in Europe and in the US. So it means we will have a rapid traction from the neurosurgical centers. To develop this project, we are based on a seasoned team with a strong track record at the operational level and the management level. So we have some executive people taking care of this project, with a medical oncologist by training that has years of experience in that field, with many clinical trials achieved and market authorization granted. In financial perspective, we have also a good track record with Michel that have raised more than 17 million euros in biotech, and that managed company until market authorization, the latest one being Orphalan in the Wilson disease. And all together with our scientific consultant, we have more than 150 scientific papers in that specific field. So we know we have all the mapping on the field needed to succeed in that domain. We think globally, we are working with top-notch physicians in the world, in the US, in Europe, and so we are connected with the stakeholder in this disease management. We have, for instance, Michael Weller on board that annually report on the way to treat efficiently the glioblastoma. So he is our scientific advisor and help us to design the clinical trial to be done, but also all together work on the traction and within the community of physicians. So why we are now raising 6 million euro? First, in that fundraising, we have already some huge commitment from venture capitalists in France. So most of the half of the fundraising is already over. So now we offer to the community the possibility to get into this journey with us and to get more involvement in cancer research. And so for that, this 6 million to be collected will be used first to prepare our next clinical trial in Europe and then in the US, to prepare the B round to be started at the end of 2025 in 2026, and that will be the springboard, I might say, for the market access. And by meantime, we will be able to continue our preclinical and soon clinical trial on immuno-oncology aspect of our approach. So that's basically the use of proceeds we have in mind. And that end my talk. Maybe I will let Alan give his point of view. Yes, we can have this summary of this opportunity. So just basically, we have a technology to be used in upfront for newly diagnosed glioblastoma. We have already 2 clinical trials achieved, one enrolling in the US, showing no toxicity effect and very interesting efficacy signals. We have already fast track organization for the regulatory approach in the US and in Europe. We have also raised more than 7 million euros since the inception of the project. And so I told you about the inflection point and what the future will be with this fundraising. So maybe Alan, you want to comment and give your insight on this project? Maybe a few words of introduction from your part.
Thank you, Max. Can you hear me clearly?
Yeah, perfect.
Excellent. And I see you have my slides. So allow me to introduce myself. My name is Alan Ezrin. I'm a clinical scientist and a serial entrepreneur. I'm very interested in this field of photodynamic therapy and diagnosing glioblastoma. As a serial entrepreneur, after my clinical trainings and 12 years in the pharmaceutical industry, I've spent the last almost 40 years doing startup technologies. I've put about 15 companies together, hold about 90 patents, and raised about $500 million to fund various research endeavors. But my proudest moment is having put 4 drugs into the marketplace. And one of them is very closely aligned with Hemerion's mission. I consider myself an expert in the management of glioblastoma and in the photosensitizing drug that they're working with, and you'll see that unfold momentarily. But I want to share with you why I'm interested in this organization. Obviously, as Max has described, glioblastoma is an ugly disease. It's universally lethal. You don't survive this. I did have one patient who lived 13 years, and he was an anomaly. But the average survival is about a year. And it's not a pleasant exit. It's a death sentence. The standard of care has not changed. An alkylating chemotherapeutic agent was added back in about 2004. It's called temozolomide or Temodar, and it was added on top of surgery and radiotherapy as an opportunity to try to buy time for these patients. Unfortunately, even though temozolomide is still the front-running standard of care, the overall survival by this chemotherapeutic increases survival only about 11 weeks in comparison just to surgery and radiotherapy. And the issue is that there's quite a bit of questions about that drug. A follow-on study of intensified temozolomide versus monometric failed to demonstrate the same repeat. But despite that, temozolomide was still earning in this orphan population about $90 million solely for this disease, and about 10,000 patients in the United States, about 30,000 worldwide per year. Unfortunately, there is no effective therapy. We're searching for an improvement in glioblastoma. And the real issue is about 60% of the cases at the time of surgery fail to obtain a complete removal of the tumor, mainly because this is an ugly tumor. It's like an octopus. It's got tentacles that go into the normal brain, and to remove that is surgically impossible. I had the pleasure of becoming associated with the team that did change the way that this disease is treated. 5-aminolevulinic acid, which is a radiosensitizer, which is the pentelphafin, different name, same chemical. This drug will destroy the tumor under the right conditions of increasing light energy or laser energy to destroy tumor and not affect non-malignant tissue. In 2017, I had the proud opportunity to lead a team that secured the first in-field FDA approval for 5-ALA as an agent that improved the surgeon's ability to see the tumor and therefore to improve surgical resection. This drug has a unique phenomena that it will fluoresce. It'll light up the tumor region, and with that, the surgeons can get a better resection if the tumor is not in critical regions of the brain. What we learned from the history, and there's an extensive amount of clinical data, that patient survival correlates to the amount of the residual tumor at the end of surgery. You can't get it all out, but with an improvement in visualization, you can minimize the residual burden of the outside of the tumor. What Hemerion's trying to do is to be able to assist in destroying the tumor with this light energy. Think of it as a Star Wars type of wand that provides energy to the tumor cells that have the aminolevulinic acid in it. Drug's interesting. It's safe. It's well tolerated. We secured FDA approval for this drug. There have been hundreds of thousands of patients who've taken this drug, so the track record's well known. And every brain tumor surgeon in the United States knows of the drug, has used it for visualization. They have not had the opportunity to use it for therapy with the Hemerion's technology, but we envision that they will embrace this new use. We'll go to the next slide. From their data set, I'm quite intrigued with photodynamic therapy. And there are many different groups that are working with photodynamic therapy because it will improve the outcome. Progression-free survival in various brain tumor populations are increased with photodynamic therapy. The overall survival, as Max had mentioned earlier, is markedly increased. And the Helion solution is intriguing. Even though it's not the only one, it's going to be the one that will win because it's easy to implement. The time frame of having patients post-operative have this laser therapy when the drug is on board is much shorter than you'll see with other technologies. And it's intriguing that they do have a survival benefit. So let's look on to the real reasons of interest in the next slide. As an entrepreneur, having run 15 public and private life science companies over the last 4 decades, this team at Hemerion stands out. They caught my attention. I'd like to help them get to the finish line. Why? Because they get it. I've worked with a lot of smart teams in my life. They understand how to create value by translating science and their core competency in engineering to get to the end of the job. This is not a research project. They understand every day is another brain cancer's life at risk. And the sooner they get it to market, the faster. We need your help as investors to facilitate this. I was impressed when I first started consulting with them. They understand the pathway to get this to regulatory and commercial success. They have studied every detail of our historical journey to get 5 ALA approved by the regulatory agencies. They also recognize that the commercial space in the US is a very interesting model. It's controlled by about 30 of the top brain cancer surgeons, and the disease is really treated in the centers of leading excellence at the universities and the experts who are already familiar with the drug. Hemerion's patents and creative strategy will provide barriers from anyone replicating what they're trying to do. They understand the commercialization and the training that can be managed by a very small team of talented individuals. You don't need lots of people to bring this drug and the technology to the marketplace. The majority of the brain cancer surgeons are already familiar with the drug. They're using it, but for a different purpose. And this phenomena will attract the leading experts to the field to come and work with Hemerion. There are challenges to teach this procedure and to introduce this much needed drug device combination. It will be engaged, they will be protected, they will not be encroached upon because of the novelty of the device side. What I like about Hemerion is that they understand the business model. They're a lean company. They understand the challenges that are in front of them, and they understand the need for and use of investment capital. I personally will be investing in this round, and I invite you to consider that as well as an opportunity. I like a winning team.
Thank you,
Back to you,
Alan.
Max.
Thank you. Perfect. Thank you for these words and for explaining the interest of the project and introducing our team so warmly. So thank you.